Welcome, everybody. I am Julie Kurtz. I'm the CEO and the founder for the Center for Optimal Brain Integration, where we strive to give every adult and child a voice who've been impacted by trauma and toxic stress. Just in the United States alone, we know that 70% or more of adults have experienced trauma, and all children, by the time they reach the age of 18, are in that 70% range. What better time for me to elevate the collective wisdom and knowledge of Dr. Katie Raher? She is the founder and CEO of Constant Love and Learning, an award-winning teacher turned school psychologist, a certified trauma-informed breathwork facilitator, and a Kamoji certified trainer who has helped thousands of soul-led educators and change makers from across the globe cultivating healing and resilience within themselves, the children they serve, and the larger systems within which they work. She offers sacred space and simple solutions that transform lives and expand impact one breath, one feeling, one connection at a time. I am honored to be in the presence of Dr. Raher. I am so grateful today to elevate your collective wisdom and to the work that you do, aligning it with this trauma-informed, resilience-building, and healing-engaged approach. I can't wait to listen to what you have to share with us today. Why don't you take it over and share with us some of the work you do? And I believe you're going to lead us through a very special breathwork activity.
Yes, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for having me. I've been following your work for so long and love everything you do. Have integrated the power of it in my work in schools and with children and educators I support. And so I'm so excited to bring breathwork into the mix for folks. So I would love to just share a little bit about trauma-informed breathwork. I came to breathwork on my own journey. I myself, I've been in education for about 20 years. I myself had lots of toxic stress along the way and ended up with some chronic diseases and mental health challenges that led me to need to really reclaim my own health and well-being. So I myself had a better space and a better life, and also so I could create more impact on the children I love, both in my own home and in schools. And so on my own well-being journey, I found breath work, and it was just, it transformed me at a whole nother level beyond the many other tools that I had used. And so I then decided I really wanted to make sure to integrate breathwork into the services I provide for educators and caregivers, because I think it's such a powerful way to serve. And so on that note, why breathwork? And so there are a lot of tools out there, and I definitely am a big believer in people finding what works to support their nervous system, both their own as the adult, as the caregiver, as the educator, and also making sure, they have tools like you always support people in learning to support the nervous systems of others. And so why? The first thing is just my core belief that you, as the adults who are listening here today, whenever you listen, you're human. You're human first before you are an educator, before you're a caregiver, and you are worthy of well-being. I believe that you should have health and vitality and well-being, and that you should wake up every day and feel good. So, regardless of the work that you do, I believe that is a core piece of your right to well-being. And then the second big piece, which I'm a big believer in, and I think anybody who's in education, is that I believe in self-care to spread care. So, and I say self-care, but ultimately I'm a big believer, just like you said earlier, collective wisdom. I'm a big believer in supporting others, including with breathwork, as a collective care model as well. It's really us taking care of each other in this. And so when we are able to nurture our nervous systems, we are so much more effectively able to show up for the children that we love and support, or the colleagues or the family members or friends that we love and support, because of mirror neurons and co-regulation and all that beautiful stuff I won't go into. I know you do in your work, but ultimately when our nervous system has the flexibility, and we are able to lean towards patterns of protection, or towards patterns of connection, rather than just patterns of protection and sort of that fear-based model. When we move towards that love and connection model, that's where we expand our impact. And so it's really about our capacity to spread the calm, to make sure our nervous systems are optimized as your organization. It's for that optimal brain integration piece. And so breath work has the capacity to shift our nervous systems kind of wherever you need. So if you're feeling dysregulated, overwhelmed, and you need to bring in calm, breath work can do that. If you are feeling exhausted, tired, I have no energy, it can also activate and bring energy. Ultimately, it's about energetics. So it can shift in lots of different ways to help you give the support you want for the children that you love so dearly. And that's accessible. So ultimately, everybody, all of you, you have breath within you. So we don't have to necessarily look outside of us. Like, it's right here. It's this powerful tool that is within our body. And breath, because of how much we can do and play with it, it's adaptable to your needs. So even when I lead a little session in a bit, you get to play. Like, what do you need? Where do you need to calm? Do you need to speed it up? Do you need to lengthen depth, create more depth? It gets to adapt to your needs and then to the needs of your students. So that's why I love it. Also, I won't go through all of these, but there's a lot of benefits of what I call transformational breath work, which is what I'm going to speak to now. Ultimately, in a nutshell, it helps us reduce stress, anxiety. It helps us shift our relationship with our emotions. It helps us release emotions. It really is powerful for our physical health. It brings more oxygen to our bloodstream. It helps us release toxins, because that's what that breath can do. And when we do transformational breath work, or we do conscious continual breath for a longer period of time, we're able to really deeply connect to our intuition, higher self, also any higher powers you believe in. We can shift energy, get clarity. We tone the vagus nerve, which is really a powerhouse in our bodies to support our health. And we can shift our heart rate variability, which is linked to all sorts of amazing health benefits. And really the trauma that can be really held in the body, we know that the body is where that is held. We can use the breath to shift that, to release. People will, like I myself, I'll speak to my own experiences. I've had flashbacks to things that I was able to heal, things that I didn't even know were sort of stuck in my body. And then like the lighter feeling that comes from that. And ultimately, we are creating a sense of safety in the body and flexibility within our nervous system. And then when we widen the window of tolerance, and we'll get into all of that. People can go enjoy your beautiful courses and your supports to dive into the brain research a little bit more. But ultimately, when we do that, when kids are dysregulated, it's easy for us to get triggered. With breath work, we expand that window of tolerance. So even when that's happened, we're not as likely to get triggered. We're able to stay in this regulated state because we've expanded our window of tolerance. And that's what we want for kids and for you, for all of you who are listening. So many beautiful, powerful benefits. And just kind of also want to break down, I've used some different words here. I want to break down a little bit more about like, what do I mean by all these words? And so, breathing can, the beautiful thing about breath is it's this one thing in our body that can be both totally natural, like you don't have to be thinking right now and your body's still breathing. And then we can also make it conscious. So we can draw our attention to it. And so we, first of all, we can just notice our breath. Just become aware of it. This is the ABC. So first, it's just being aware. And a lot of people, we use the term being mindful of your breath, just noticing it. No need to change it, just notice it. Then for the B, I like to refer to it as you're bringing intention into the breath. So you're bringing, it's that sense of control. So it could be just diaphragmatic deep breathing, a couple of those. It could be box breathing, 4, 7, 8 breathing. It could be just an intentional sigh on the exhale. Whatever it is, you're shifting into control of that breath, because maybe you want to bring calm and relaxation, or maybe whatever it is you want to bring into the breath. And then what I refer to as transformational breath work is connected continual breath. So this is when we have intention there to the breath, but we're doing it in a way that it's ongoing. So for a length of time, it can still be short. It could be a minute, 3 minutes, 8 minutes, 20 minutes longer, but it's when we're breathing. And I'm going to give you one sample of a breath pattern in a bit when I guide you through an experience. And there's different breath patterns I use for this, but it allows us, especially when we get over the 8-minute mark of that conscious continual breath, it allows us to turn off the mind and come into the body in more powerful ways than anything else I've found. And when we really get deep into it, we really connect to the unconscious, and the body has the power to do that. So it's really, to me, it's the most powerful somatic practice there is. And by somatic, I mean, it's of the body. It's not just up here in the mind. It's like just using the body to do it. And so we shift energy, we can get lots of new sensations come up in the body. So on that note, when I do guide you through a practice, you may get little tingles, you may feel pain and pressure in your body. It's very safe, especially with the practice I'm going to do is a very short version of what we can do. But the beautiful thing is when we turn off the mind, because we lean into trust of the breath, we are able to be in a situation where our nervous system has that sense of safety, and our body is able to go to wherever is needed in that moment. So there's no two breathwork sessions that are alike, because our breath brings us to perhaps what needs to be released, or perhaps where we need to just sit with the emotion, where we get to just feel it and move through it, as opposed to sort of stuffing it down, which we often do, or pushing it away, denying it, those kinds of things. So it's this safe experience where you get to feel and you get to release, and it also does bring that sense of just nervous system calmness by the end, kind of a thing. So you'll get a little more sense for connected continual when I walk you through a little practice. And kind of just a little shout out to trauma-informed breathwork specifically, and I've talked about safety along the way with breathwork out there. Like if those of you go and you try to find some breathwork in your corner of the world, breathwork can look a little different depending on who's leading it. And the reason I became a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator is because I wanted to make sure I was doing and facilitating breathwork in a way that made sure folks felt safe, because there are some breathwork models out there that do push people, like, oh, push harder, you're going to get your breakthrough if you push through. My version of breathwork and how I was trained is very much that we get to empower the breather to listen to the body. I'm not in your body, you're in your body. So you get to listen to what you need. So maybe your body's saying, this breath pattern's too fast, I need to slow it down. Or, ooh, this is too slow, I want to quicken, make it quicker. Or maybe I've had enough, I'm going to just release the breath and just go back to my natural breath. We believe that the sort of intensity of the session does not equal transformation. Transformation and integration comes from slowly building up and building that window of tolerance slowly and steadily. And because when you have that felt sense of safety in the body, that allows your nervous system to not just shift in that moment for that session, but long term, so that it actually has an impact on your day-to-day. So that's really where trauma-informed breathwork is. It believes very deeply in the wisdom of each breather. So I'm just somebody who's offering guidance, but ultimately you are the driver in each of a breathwork situation. So that's a little bit about my version. And so let's breathe. So let me guide you a little bit in what the breath pattern will be, and then we'll drop into the breath. I'm just going to do a very short session. It's going to be about 3-4 minutes altogether. We're going to start with just a little bit of mindfulness, just that A. We're just going to be aware of just what's here. Then I am going to invite in an active breath called the halo active breath, which, in terms of the intention behind it, I did decide, after I kind of sat with it intuitively, I am going to lead you all through a pretty slow version of that to bring calm. But if you're out there listening and you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I need energy, you can speed up the breath. Okay, so you can play with, and you can alter the depth too. So for this breath pattern, if you think of a halo, a halo, if you see of a halo, it's sort of even on both sides. It's continual. Okay, so we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth for this very simple pattern, but it's continual. So it's in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay. Now you can go very slow, and I'm going to invite it pretty slow today. It could be but the goal here is to have some even in, even out. Okay. Now, if you want to go quicker, it might look like this. Okay, you get to choose. And the depth, it could be pretty shallow, or it could be deep. You get to play and listen to your body. Okay. Well, I don't have everyone here because people will be watching the recording, but Julie, do you have any questions about the breath pattern?
No, I'm really looking for, I'm going to shut my camera off so I can take part in it.
Okay, cool. And for those of you watching, remembering that you might have some sensations come up, tingling, some pain, pressure, know that it's safe. But if you want to release the breath, you can just release it. Just pay attention to your breath. That's fine. You can just have this space to just be. And if it feels safe in your body, you can stick with me for the active breath portion. When at the end, I'll just ask you to release the breath, go back to your natural breath, and I'll just invite you to come back to the screen. And everything's an invitation. Totally up to you. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little music on here. Make sure I share my sound. This song is Lovable by Bensound. Just inviting you now just to perhaps sit up straight, lengthen that spine, perhaps unclench that jaw. Just notice the connection between your feet and the ground beneath you. Just start to draw your attention to your natural breath. Just noticing perhaps where that breath resonates the most, perhaps your nose or mouth, chest or belly. Noticing its pace, is it slow or fast, deep or shallow. With the breath, with observation, just greeting it with curiosity, no judgment. Just a little window into what's present. And just starting to notice the sensations that are here, all through your body. Perhaps going from the tips of your toes, scanning up through your legs and hips, belly and chest, all the way up to the crown of your head. And then inviting in some active breath, that halo active, in through the nose, out through the mouth, knowing that you get to choose the pace and the depth that feels right for you. Noticing what your body needs as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. pace feel good? Or do you want to slow it down or speed it up? Change the depth. Trusting that your body knows what you need. Letting every inhale go to all the parts of your body that need a little extra love right now. And letting that exhale release any stress, any tension, just letting it go to the earth beneath you. Continuing with this active breath for just a little longer. Knowing you're so worthy of the time and space to come back to center, to let your body bring you back home. And now just inviting you just to release that breath, just returning to your natural breath, just noticing your natural breath now. Trusting that whatever shifts happened was what your body needed in this moment. And just starting to scan the body again, scanning from the tips of the feet to the tip of the head. Knowing that you can bring whatever energy you desire to the rest of your day. And now just starting to invite in a little movement. A little movement wherever feels good in the body. And letting the final movement be to bring the eyes back up to the screen. All at your pace, no rush. And what I will share as Julie comes back and joins us as well is a little reminder that you're always just one breath away. I did about 4 minutes with us, but even just one intentional breath can bring you more of what you desire. You're just one breath away to more energy or more calm. And that's within you. It's free. It's readily available. Your body is brilliant. It has so much inherent wisdom, both within you and carried from generations before you. And so that's what I just like to leave folks with, is that this is a power that's within you, and you get to use it to your advantage in whatever way feels best. And so I don't know if you want to pause, Julie, and share anything there. I can also share a little bit about how to stay connected, whatever feels good. Julie,
Yeah.
how was that? How are you?
Well, it's interesting because I'm so grateful that you said to trust the body, because my body has a really hard time still sitting still. So I was cracking my knuckles and turning my head to the left or the right,
Beautiful,
up or down while I was doing it.
beautiful.
And it's so interesting because I find myself as I walk through the world holding my breath. And I think that from our past trauma, we have a pattern somatically in our body of the way that we've done things to protect ourselves. And so I'll be making a pot of coffee going, why am I holding my breath while I'm making this coffee? And um, that probably expands my anxiety because my breath is not breathing and sending oxygen to all my different organs. And I just want to share some of the things that stood out to me today with you that I wrote down because I was taking notes, that we all are worthy and have a right to well-being. And learning what uniquely and individually supports our own nervous system to stay in that calm and regulated window of tolerance and arousal, and how we can nurture our nervous system to show up better for our children and our colleagues. So it's like getting a PhD in your nervous system and being able to expand our superpowers and our impact on the world by better taking care of ourselves. And then another thing that really stood out to me is that when we're silent and sitting in this breath or stillness, sometimes big feelings can come up. And that's actually a part of it, is saying, hey, hi, how you doing? Anger, how you doing? Terror, nice to meet you. Let's let you come up and have some space. You're not going to hijack me, but I want to honor that. And sometimes releasing it, I think, can be a part of that healing journey and making friends with it and knowing it. And
Yeah.
I might not be saying it right, but I'm
That's
interpreting.
beautiful, beautiful. Yes.
And I just want to say that you also brought up these ways that if we're exhausted and have no energy or depressed or lethargic, how there might be breathing patterns to energize us and other breathing patterns for people like me who live in anxious bodies. But the most powerful thing you said is that what exists within our DNA or the inner wisdom of our bodies is not only maybe our trauma history from several generations past, but wisdom and knowledge of healing. And so I want to find ways to get people to know how to contact you, because anyone who's listening today who's experienced trauma, toxic stress, or just wants to learn how to bring in more calm and regulation in their life to harness their own superpowers needs to contact you to be able to find some of these pathways. And I know pathways to healing can be many multiple ways, but those somatic and breathing is one of the most evidence-based, powerful strategies. So how can people contact you?
Yeah, I'm gonna load that up. And I also just want to comment on a couple of things.
Yes, please.
One, and we did a shortened version of things, so I didn't go into all the details of my normal intro, but it's totally the beautiful thing about breath work. You don't have to stay still. I've done breath work sessions where I'm moving the whole time, I'm dancing with it. So you get to move with it. That's one of my favorite things. And my daughter, who really has some aversion to mindfulness in general, she loves breath because she's like, I get to do something. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. And ultimately mindfulness,
Yes.
it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong either if your mind is wandering 1,000 times,
Yes.
but there's something really beautiful about being able to be active with it there.
Yes.
That's allowed. So just knowing that, and it is a beautiful way to just make friends with your emotions and let them feel. And I would love to breathe with folks and hold space. And this was a little mini session. I'm trying to find my share screen button. Here it is.
And while you're sharing the screen, can I share one more thing?
Absolutely.
As you were talking, I realized I walk through the house humming, and I hum like different songs that are meaningful to me from my past. And I feel like the humming is the out breath way of me kind of naturally building into my day calming. So you made me think of that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Humming, singing, yawning, those are all forms of the breath. And when I lead sessions, sometimes we'll bring in humming, we'll bring in sighing, we'll bring in other forms, because there's power in all of those different ones. And so we do a lot of playing. It's my way of playing, right? I'm not in an actual sandbox as much anymore, but this is my way of playing and our way of, we get to play because there's that within our body. So yeah, would love for people to stay connected. At the top, there's all your basic ways to stay in touch with me. Also, you can breathe with me, both in terms of integrative sessions, which are about 15 to 20 minutes long, where it's longer than what we did. So, you do go a little bit deeper. And again, you could just stick with 3 minutes if that felt better in your body and safer. And there's also meditative sessions where we get over that 8-minute mark and we really become friends with our emotions. But it's always at the level that people need. So sometimes it takes a few sessions in, because ultimately my first priority is to make people feel safe with
Yeah.
me and in their bodies and in their spaces. And then from there we grow it. And then slowly people are able to unpack things, some things that they want to work on specifically around trauma history. And sometimes it's just things come up that I'm like, wow, I didn't even remember that. And that was like from when I was 12 or whatever. And so things come up that's been stored in the body and at that somatic level. And so at the bottom is the link to some breath work that's coming up, and stay tuned because I'll also be offering probably some type of membership. It's very, very affordable. Right now it's pay what you want. There is a minimum amount because I like to allow, when people pay a little bit, at least they make sure they show up for themselves, because I want to make sure you show up for yourself. And if you want to use that QR code, it's also a way to get connected. Just scan it to that breathwork link, and would love to breathe with folks or with organizations. Some people bring me into the organization to breathe. And yeah, so grateful for the opportunity to get the word out about this work. I think I told you once before about my goal for the year is to breathe with 1,000 educators and caregivers, to like really, so that everyone can experience this magic, because you get to turn off your mind and just trust the body and all its wisdom. So yeah, it's just one breath away.
Oh, Dr. Raher, I am so grateful to you. And you know what? I think the most important degree that we can get is a PhD in ourselves, casting the spotlight of our attention inward. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank our listeners, and I want to thank our Center for Optimal Brain Integration community. This is one of the most powerful journeys that we are on, not just to heal ourselves or our own trauma histories, but to find and build these tools to buffer our toxic stress. Getting a PhD in yourself, casting the spotlight inward, whatever you want to call it. Dr. Raher talked so many times about playing in the sandbox. This is one of the ways we can play with our own journey of learning how to protect ourselves. Everybody, thank you so much. And Dr. Raher, thank you. I hope people will reach out to you. I am so grateful to have met you and to continue to be on this journey with you. Everybody, take good care. Thank you.
Thank you.